Hello, welcome everybody to another commentary Minecraft video. Today we're talking about learning to drive. Isn't that fun? So yeah, my first driving experience that I can recall was basically we had this like farm that we go hunting on, at, and that just happened to be the first time I went. Oh my gosh, I hate the fact that he put wool on this. I gotta break everything and place it all back. That was my first time driving. It was really like, I don't know, I would say it was really unstable where I was driving at, which is, not what you want to hear for like your first driving experience. But basically, I didn't have a whole lot. Yeah, what's up? Oh, the bed's just right there. Oh. Nope. No. Okay, whatever. I gotta kill. So yeah, I don't know. The ground. Okay, I shouldn't say the ground was unstable. It's just like the trail that we went on was like, very tilted, and so it seemed very off. But also, I don't know. Driving was a very new experience for me at the time too. So that was another factor. But overall, I think it was a good learning experience. I kind of got used to the pedals. I was like, oh, so this is So these pedals are like way more sensitive. Yes, walk it. That went exactly according to my master plan, okay? Obviously, in order to get my license, I needed to practice a little bit. I needed to get used to driving the car a little bit more. So the way I remember it is my mom would always take me to this like cemetery, and I would like kind of drive through the cemetery a little bit. So it's kind of like, you know, if I mess up, I'll hit a dead person that's already dead. And so I guess that was her theory in teaching me how to drive, because then I won't kill anybody. I think that was her theory. Anyways, that was one way I learned to drive. The other way was my dad took me to basically this parking lot, and we just did donuts. I'm kidding, we didn't do donuts, but I think that was his goal. He wanted to do donuts, and so we went to a parking lot, and that's where I also learned to drive, because I learned to do donuts. Oh, that was easy. And then, finally it came to the day where I had to take my first driver's test. And that, I was very stressed out for, not gonna lie. Also, I should mention, before I did any of the driving beforehand, I had my learner's permit. That was like the first thing I did. Dude, personal space. Calm down. Wait, maybe if I take him over here. Knock you off the edge. First time going to take the driver's test. Very stressful. You know how you like kids like most of the days these days, they'll shake their leg. Like, how you like bounce it off the floor when you're in the class or whatever, because like our attention spans have just gone to crap. Yeah, I ended up doing that, and so that's not ideal. That's just not ideal for driving, because then you're like, you gotta be like really specific about like pressing on the pedals and whatnot. So that was not a good sign. Where is this dude at? Let's go. Finally won a game. I do remember though this too very vividly. Like when I got to the car, or like we were going out, like my instructor, he's this like old guy. He's kind of cranky, it seemed like already. Like I opened the door and I'm like, oh, actually I was so nervous. In fact, I opened the door the wrong way. So you know how you're like supposed to push the door open? Yeah, I started pulling the door open as we're walking out. Like how could I forget? That's how like every freaking building works, like how. Anyway, so I just didn't do that, So yeah, I just didn't do that in the first place, and this guy was like, I was like, sorry, I'm nervous, and then he said, me too, as if he was like gonna die or something. Like I was that bad of a driver. He just knew. yeeted. How did you survive that? Are you kidding me? So, you know, the test I thought went really well. You know, I did all the turns, I did all the stops, you know, whatnot. I thought I did everything right. You know, we go like, he's like, oh, take a left turn here. And I'm like, okay. And then we do a left turn. And then keep going a little further. And then it's like, okay, you got to do, make the jump. No, okay. And he's like, oh, you make a right turn here. And I'm like, okay. And then I stop and then I go. And it's like, whatever. And it's like, apparently, though, at one point, I must have just not gone through all the way. Or, like, I didn't stop all the way. And so that was the reason that I didn't get it. So I'm assuming this is just a guy that was crabby. And, you know, he's worked at the DMV. Or who knows, maybe I just suck at driving and I just had no clue. Which is probably not the best scenario if you're just, like, clueless to how bad you are at driving. But honestly, at the end of the day, I was just thankful to have been done with that stupid test. I was, like, stressing about this for, like, weeks. Hey, would you like to PvP? Yes. As soon as that guy turned around, gone. Long story short, I didn't pass the test. Oh well. You know, the thing is, what sucks about it is you have to wait, like, another, like, 3 months to get in to do the next test or whatever, you know? Like, you can't just show up again, like, the next day and take the test. And also, in order to get that meeting in the first place, that first driver's test, I had to, like, schedule this in advance. So anyways, we couldn't do it there again, you know? We couldn't do it the same DMV or whatever you want to call it. So we went somewhere else. We went to, you know, I'm not gonna say it, but the place. So we went to a different place, and this time, the guy was actually really chill. I talked to the guy beforehand and afterhand, and he was like, oh, it's a beautiful day, you know, the weather's nice, the birds are singing. Like, I talked to this guy about that. And it was really chill, because instead of the place that the original DMV was, like, in the city, this one we went to was, like, way out of the city. It was, like, in a small town, you know. People don't care as much when you're in a small town, you know. I think, I don't know. Anyway, so the second time, you know, the guy was chill. I took the test. I did fine. I passed. And overall, just a great experience. Like, I think anyone that wants to take their driver's test, for me at least, there was just this website that literally just had all the questions. So, like, just go to your, like, local DMV website, and hopefully they have, like, a test with a bunch of questions and rules, and it'll kind of... all you have to do is take that test, and it's pretty simple, honestly. So, at this point, I'm a pretty decent driver. Like, obviously, I kept driving to school all these years or whatever, and kept getting better at it. Okay, so now that I've kind of talked about, like, how I got my license, I can kind of talk about, like, the accidents I've kind of been in, or I should say, like, close calls that I've been in. Because at this point, I've, like, had a couple years of driving back and forth to school, which... it's pretty simple, honestly. You just drive there and then drive back. Hey, what's up, guys? Mind sharing some diamonds, or... Ow! No, so my first, like, close call was on this, like, really busy street. Because, you know, accidents always seem to happen on busy streets. It's kind of annoying. You know, I'm driving like normal, and then all of a sudden, you know, this guy, like, just starts driving in, like he just slowly and as slow as he possibly can, he just starts driving to where I'm at. And so I'm like, you know, I'm seeing this, and I'm like, hopefully he just, like, pays attention all of a sudden, because, like, and so I'm kind of against honking at people, because it stresses me out. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this guy's getting pretty close. I should just honk my horn. And so I do. And, you know, he goes back over. And that was kind of it for that situation, I guess. You know, I think he kind of, I don't know, maybe he's, like, on something. Or, you know, he's going through a tough time in his life, you know. Okay, sorry, my internet is being bad. And I'm just going to tell the rest of the story here. So... my other close call was when I'm driving on another really busy street, of course, but the thing about this street that makes it different is that the street, like the direction of the road, like changes. I don't know how to explain it. So like, or like explain it well, but basically there's two lanes on one side, then there's a lane in the middle, then there's two lanes on the other side. And this lane in the middle, like during busy days, it'll like go one way, and then during like at a certain time the road will switch and it'll be used for the other side. And so I'm driving, you know, I'm on my way home from school or whatever, and they're doing construction on this road that's on the, so like they're doing it on the, they would be doing it on the far right side here. I have to drive here, and this road here is actually going that way for the time being. So I'm driving here, obviously I get in the right lane before the construction up ahead, on this lane here. Just pretend these blocks are the lanes. And so I finally get in I'm in the correct lane, whatever. But some guy behind me, I don't know why, he was so like impatient that he drove out into oncoming traffic. Everyone was just like honking. It was chaos. And so I just stopped. I just like, I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh, there's a car next to me. And I'm like, that's normal. Oh wait, he's going the wrong direction. What is he doing? And so I just kind of stop and like, I'm like trying to understand what's going on. And luckily I do stop, because then he like is able to cut back over, avoid getting crushed or like in an accident with another car that was coming in this direction. And all was good. But if I had done something differently, like kept going, there could have been a really bad accident there. Like, it's that other guy that was like coming in the other direction didn't seem to be paying too much attention either, because he was still going pretty fast and it didn't seem like he was slowing down at all. So who knows, that could have been something way worse than I was expecting. And lastly, I had the story, I may have done a bit of, I'm not very good with driving, or parking, I should say. I feel like I'd be better, like, backwards parking, but because it's so much easier to just pull into a spot, I always try and do that. But pulling into, like, a parking spot is not necessarily the best thing, because then you can't see the front end very well, especially if you have a big car. Then it doesn't. Actually, I'll reveal what car I have. It's like a Ford Expedition, so that's the car I drive. I'll put a picture on screen. This is the car I drive. Probably should have mentioned that first, but yeah, that's the car I drive. It's kind of a big vehicle, but it gets me places. So I can't see the front end of that car. Like it's kind of hard, but like I've got these like big mirrors on the side where I can kind of see the background. So I should probably, for future reference, park backwards. Even though it kind of like seems like I'd be taking up people's time, because you know how like you're going to park sometimes and there's like people just waiting. They're like behind you, like, come on, park away already, and you're just taking forever. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. How do I get up there? Back to where all the players are supposed to be. So anyways, back to this parking lot scenario. So I'm I'm pulling into this like parking garage thing, and I just can't see the front of my car. But because this like parking garage is like really busy, like people are getting here for the same event, and of course I'm a ding dong and get there like right before it's about to start, and a bunch of other people are kind of ding dongs, and so they're all kind of waiting to get into this event that I'm going to. I'm not gonna say what. And I kind of just, don't do like the back end thing, because people are behind me, obviously. I'm not going to do that, But then I'm going in and I'm like, I kind of hear the plastic bending on my car. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep driving. And I just drive into the spot and I don't even like pay attention. I don't even stop. I'm just like, it's not that bad. And so I look afterwards and like, sure, there's a little scar, but I'm just like, yep, that happened, and I didn't really do anything about it. I was just like, yep, that happened, and then I went on with my day. So that's that story. And I'm still regretting my decision about not telling the owner of the car, even though they probably would have been fine with it. Like, both cars were pretty old, and so I don't think they would have cared. It's like a little tiny scratch that you wouldn't have noticed. You probably could have washed it off, because it's just plastic. But I don't know, I still feel kind of bad, but I can't really do anything about it now, so I'm just not gonna think about it. But that's just another interesting story. These are the most interesting stories I could come up with for a video about driving, because I don't have that many unique driving experiences. I feel like I don't. How do I get back up there? I'm just gonna spend the eternity trying to get back to where I'm supposed to be. Well, that's pretty much it for this this episode. That's all I have to say. I'm just gonna sit here in the void and contemplate life, I guess.